Congratulations, you are 10 years old. Your mom is finally letting you take on the local Pokemon gym, and since you live in Pewter City, that means facing Brock, the rock type specialist. Unfortunately, mom doesn't want you wandering too far from home, so you're only allowed to catch Pokemon within Pewter City or on the routes adjacent to the city. But there are no Pokemon available in Pewter City, and Route 3 is inaccessible since you don't have Brock's badge yet. So the only feasible area you could acquire some Mons would be to the south on Route 2. Your choices here are Rattata, Pidgey, Caterpie, and Weedle. Could you beat Brock using just these Pokemon? Let's go one step further. Could you beat every gym leader in Kanto using only Pokemon found near each gym city? This is the Local Encounter Challenge, a challenge I made up myself, and it's what I'll be attempting today in Pokemon LeafGreen. For this challenge, only locations connected directly to the next gym city will be considered eligible. For example, Route 2 is an eligible location for the Pewter Gym split, but Viridian Forest is not. If a multi-floor building or a segmented route is involved, I'll just group all the parts together into one location. For example, Saffron City connects to the first floor of the Silphco building, so all 10 other floors of Silphco will also count as eligible for the Saffron Gym split. I will also be implementing level caps based on the next gym leader's ace, and using the same number of Pokemon in battle as each gym leader. The rest of the rules are on screen now and in the description. With that out of the way, let's talk about Jelly Donut Boy. I asked earlier whether it was possible to beat Brock using only these 4 Pokemon. I'm still asking you, I need answers. The 2 bugs can evolve into their final forms, but that doesn't solve the issue of these Pokemon taking super effective damage from rock moves, or struggling to leave a dent on Brock's Mons, or both. But we have to work with what we've got, so say hello to Paper the Butterfree. His Confusion is the strongest attack available to us against Brock's rocks, and he can actually survive a single Rock Tomb from Onix despite the quad effectiveness, so he'll be a mandatory deployment for this fight. You hear that, Paper? You gotta carry us against Brock. You gotta beat a talking rock with hands, then a big snake that's like 20 rocks put together. Damn. Since I have to match the number of Pokemon Brock uses, I'll also be bringing Paige the Rattata into this fight. I ultimately chose the rat over the bird and the bee because it doesn't take super effective damage from rock moves, and on that positive note, let's begin my first attempt against Brock. Paper the Butterfree opens the fight with a strong Confusion that drops Geodude below half, then shrugs off a tackle before securing the KO the following turn, inviting in Brock's ace. Paper can outspeed and land a Confusion for about a third of Onix's health, but Rock Tomb drops our Butterfly to a singular point of HP and crucially drops our speed as well. That allows Onix to outspeed and KO Paper the following turn, and yeah, a lone Rattata is not doing anything against an Onix, so that's attempt number 1 down the drain. On to attempt 2. Paper once again fires a strong opening salvo, but Geodude goes for defense curl this time, meaning Paper can get the kill and remain at full HP once Onix hits the field. I decide to switch to Paige the Rattata on a Rock Tomb, basically as a sacrifice that'll hopefully get in a little chip damage before biting the dust. Onix does spare Paige a turn by using Bind instead of Rock Tomb again, allowing our rat to connect with a Hyper Fang that is about as impactful as an online petition. Unfortunately, that's all Paige can muster before getting crumpled up and tossed out. That leaves Paper the Butterfree to clean up this mess. His Confusion takes about a third of Onix's HP, but Rock Tomb knocks our bug's health down to the red. Well, Onix is guaranteed to move first now after the speed drop, and there is nothing I can do about it because this entire damn fight hinges on RNG. I just don't think it's possible to win unless Onix gets confused or misses Rock Tomb. Yeah, like that. But Paper fails to score the KO, so unless that 10% chance to inflict confusion happens, we are back in business? Well, I'll be. If Onix hits itself in confusion here, then Paper could finish the job, but surely we can't get that lucky, right? With Onix neutered, Paper can fire off one last Confusion to earn us the win over Brock. I was ready to sit down and bang out a dozen more attempts for this fight, but we lucked out hard and got the dice to fall the right way on just attempt number 2. It goes to show that you should always trust in your Pokemon to get the job done, even if they barely contributed. When I first played Pokemon LeafGreen as a kid, I didn't realize you had to go through the ransacked house to progress, so I got lost in Cerulean City for a few hours before I just reset my save file. This has nothing to do with the challenge, I just thought I'd share a bit about myself. Cerulean City itself offers nothing of value for this challenge since we don't have any fishing rods or bipedal tadpoles on hand. But what we do have are 2 whole routes available for us to gather Pokemon, a significant step up from the previous split where we only had 1 route. To the west of Cerulean City is Route 4, which offers Mankey, Raticate, Fearow, and either Ekans or Sandshrew depending on which version of the game you're playing. And to the north lies Route 24, where an even more impressive selection of Mons await. Kadabra has a sentient hydrogen bomb, and the version exclusive grass types can evolve into their respective second stages right at the level cap of 21. Since I'm playing Leaf Green, that means Pepper the Weepinbell will be my first pick for the Misty fight. But he won't be the star of this gym battle, no, that honor belongs to Carrot the Raticate, a speedy, powerful little beast who has just enough damage to guarantee a one-shot on Misty's Staryu even though she has an attack-lowering nature. It's kind of funny how useful Raticate will be to this gym battle compared to how disposable Rattata was in the previous one. Carrot begins the Misty fight by indeed proving my claim that she can one-tap Staryu. Starmie then water pulses our carrot-munching rat, but she retaliates with Hyper Fang, leaving an even larger dent in her foe. Since another Hyper Fang would bring Starmie low enough for Misty to pop a potion, I instead make Carrot use Quick Attack to bring Starmie into the yellow. Unfortunately, the next water pulse to make contact inflicts confusion upon Carrot, meaning it's time to give Pepper a fair shake. He should be able to tank a few hits and wrap up this fight pretty easily. Unless Pepper also gets confused, like how I was seeing Mega Starmie for the first time. Regular Starmie here is just gonna keep its foot on the water pulse button, however, meaning our best bet is to just keep Pepper in and pray that he snaps out of his confusion long enough to land the finishing blow. The prayers go for naught, however, as Pepper smacks himself on the first attempt, then gets brought down to exactly 4 remaining HP on the following turn. It's now or never, Pepper. You gotta make a move now unless you want to be remembered as the butt of a punchline. Thank you, Pepper, for ignoring confusion and landing the finishing blow with Vine Whip to secure us Gym Bash number 2. If you disregard my terrible confusion RNG in this battle, Misty is actually quite the cakewalk, at least in comparison to the Herculean task that was the Brock fight. The next gym is also theoretically a cakewalk, but only on one version of the game. Until now, the differences between FireRed and LeafGreen version haven't meant much in the grand scheme of things. All it affected was whether you'd be able to acquire a wilting flower or the glizzy gobbling grandmaster. But that all changes with gym number 3 in Vermilion City. Lieutenant Surge's legion of electric types are speedy and dangerous, but struggle against ground types. Unfortunately, Diglett Cave is ineligible for this challenge since it connects to Route 11, not Vermilion City itself. But Route 11 connects to Vermilion City, so it's fair game, making the following Pokemon available: Drowsy, Fearow, Arbok and FireRed, and Sandslash and LeafGreen. Wow, I wonder which one is better against the electric gym. Actually, both Arbok and Sandslash can learn Dig via TM, but Sandslash's same type attack bonus means it ultimately hits way harder against Surge's Pokemon. Also, can we talk about Sandslash's Gen 3 level up learn set? 1 attacking move before level 24, 1 move with a base power higher than 60, 1 ground type attacking move in total, that being Sand Tomb at level 52. Sandslash doesn't even need to bring ID to apply for welfare. It just shows off this learn set and everyone immediately understands that it's in poverty. Anyway, there's also Route 6 to the north of Vermilion, which plays host to Meowth, Pidgeotto, and a version exclusive grass type who could provide a useful electric resist. Finally, there's Vermilion City itself. By this point in the game, you should have a fishing rod or two, but bringing a Gyarados into the Surge fight would be about as effective as walking into the gym with a big kick me sign plastered onto your chest. As for the team I'll be using, Rubber the Sandslash will be our only source of super effective damage, but should be able to mop up the electrics with little issue. In case you can't, Ceramic the Weepinbell and Glass the Drowsy are also here, chosen for their passable bulk against Surge's Pokemon. Now let's finally begin gym battle number 3. Voltorb fires a Screech into the ceiling, letting Rubber dig into the ground for free and ultimately finish off the orb without taking a single scratch of damage. She repeats the same against Pikachu, but the rat begins spamming Double Team. Just like with Misty, this fight can get really ugly if we get bad RNG, and unfortunately Rubber not only misses 1 dig, but allows Pikachu to get off a second Double Team before missing a second dig. Third time's the charm though, as she finally downs the marketable creature and prepares to wrap up this fight pretty easily, only to get paralyzed by static. This lets Surge's Raichu begin its own double team spamming exercise while Rubber is busy being paralyzed or whiffing her attacks. Raichu ends up stealing all of this fight's momentum from us, getting to +6 evasion while Rubber is unable to do a single thing to stop it. Even once Raichu begins attacking, Rubber is unable to make contact, eventually running out of Dig PP and having to resort to Slash for damage. She does land 1 hit, but never makes contact again, eventually going down to Raichu's barrage of attacks. Every other piece of dinnerware on the team is equally incapable of making an impact, resulting in total failure for our first attempt. But as a wise man once said, if at once you don't succeed, Simply run your head into the wall until you do. Attempt number 2 begins the same way as the previous, with Rubber sidestepping a Screech before downing Voltorb in a single hit. Rubber outspeeds Pikachu this time and manages to go underground before it clicks Double Team, then dispatches the Yellow Rat on the following turn. I actually remembered to attach a Cherry Berry I found on the SSN onto our lead Pokemon this time. This lets her get kicked in the face by Raichu before finally digging underground. Fortunately, Raichu opts to attack its invisible demons instead of clicking Double Team this time, allowing Rubber to claim her third 1-hit KO of the battle and a third gym badge for us. Once again, if you discount my horrendous luck, this gym should be pretty straightforward. Just make your Sand/Click dig if you're playing Leaf Green. If you end up trying this local encounter challenge for yourself in Fire Red version, let me know how it goes in the comments, cause I'm interested to know how you'll get through the Surge fight without a Sandslash to turn to. Anyway, as for us, we're on to Celadon City. We have officially reached the point of the challenge where Pokemon variety is no longer an issue. Just look at all the Mons available to us in Celadon City alone. Kadabra the Hydrogen Bomb is back once again, and for once, Flareon is looking like the optimal evolution. That is, until you realize its only available Fire-type move is Flamethrower via TM. A TM that costs 4,000 Game Corner coins to purchase, or the equivalent of 80,000 Pokedollars, if you somehow have that amount saved up by this point in the game. So unless you really like gambling, you're better off just looking elsewhere for a fire type, such as Route 7 to the east of Celadon, where you can find Persian, Pidgeotto, Beavis and Grasshead, and the version exclusive fire types, Growlithe in Fire Red or Vulpix in Leaf Green, both of which can be evolved using a Firestone purchased from the department store. If fire types don't tickle your fancy, that's good, why would they? You can instead head west of Celadon to Route 16, where flying types like Doduo and Fearow await. Overall, there are a ton of options to build a capable Erika eliminating squad. The battle itself should be fairly straightforward, so your choices will ultimately come down to personal preference. Okay, I was getting to you, big guy. As funny as it would be to roll up to Erika's gym with a big fat Snorlax, the one on Route 16 is one level over the cap for gym number 4, making it ineligible by our rules. It doesn't really matter though, because the team I've assembled should be more than capable of roasting Erika's grass types. It starts with Vegetarian the Ninetales, who learns Flamethrower as a Vulpix right at the level cap of 29. Flanking our fiery fox that favors veggies is the aforementioned Bomb that now calls herself vegan. Erika's Pokemon are all either part poison or specially frail, making Kadabra a strong choice. Finally, I have a herbivore cat who is only here to cut down the tree blocking the way to the gym. I could have evolved as Meowth, but honestly, I don't think it would have mattered because Ninetales one-shot Victory Bell and Tangela in the amount of time it takes to tie a shoe. Barring disaster, Vegetarian here should be able to wrap up this fight pretty easily. We're never gonna have an easy gym battle, are we? Vegetarian barely misses the KO on Vileplume and gets Stun Spored. I do not want to play the Paralysis game, so I switch to Vegan the Kadabra as Erika pops a Hyper Potion. Vegan fires off a super effective Psybeam that barely misses the KO again, letting Vegan also get Stun Spored, although Synchronize ensures Vileplume gets paralyzed as well. By my estimate, Vegan should have 3 to 4 chances to ignore Paralysis and wrap up this fight, and that's not counting the possibility of Vileplume wasting turns to Paralysis. So, let's see what Vegan can do. Turn 1, Erika uses a full heal to cure Vileplume's paralysis, and Vegan responds with. Turn 2, Vileplume connects with Acid, and Vegan responds with. Turn 3, Vileplume connects with Acid, and Vegan responds with. Turn 4, Vileplume connects with Acid, and knocks out Vegan the Kadabra. Man, give me that title back, you don't deserve it! Vegetarian limps back into battle and finally decides to end this tedious charade once and for all, scoring a 1-hit KO with Flamethrower that wins us the fight. If there's a lesson to be learned from this gym battle, as well as the last two, it's to never underestimate your foe. But if you want a specific takeaway from this specific battle, do not trust a vegan with anything important ever. The Erika split offered a ton of variety in terms of available Pokemon, but you haven't seen nothing yet. Fuchsia is the first city in this challenge to have 4 interconnected areas, resulting in a grand total of 24 unique encounters, if you count evolutionary lines as one total entry. However, I will not cover every single one of these eligible Pokemon in detail, as I have better things to do. Instead, I want to highlight an interesting group of Pokemon that are available to us: Slowbro, Gyarados, Kingler, Seadra, Poliwrath, and Tentacruel. Most of these water types will be available in every gym split from now on, and many of them will be top tier options as well, so I think they deserve a collective moniker. This group of watery mons shall henceforth be known as Team Aqua. Wait, no. This group shall henceforth be known as Team Drink. Acquiring the members of Team Drink for the future split won't be easy though, especially Slowpoke, who has a whopping 4% chance to show up on Route 19 using a Super Rod. If you want to up your chances, drag that fishing rod back into the city and to the Safari Warden's private pond, where your chances jump all the way up to a blistering 5%. The pink creature is worth the hassle, however, because Misfortune the Slowbro here can single-handedly wall up Koga's entire team. She isn't even in optimal form since I evolved her before she could learn Psychic at level 40 as Slowpoke. Still, Confusion should be more than enough to handle Koga's poison types. As for the rest of the team, I filled it out with every other capable psychic attacker I could find. Risky the Executor from Safari Zone Area 1, and Guybrush the Venomoth from Route 15. For my last slot, I filled it with Syrup the Gyarados, who is here because she's a Gyarados. Misfortune is the one leading the charge into battle, however, one-tapping Koga's Coughing with a single Confusion. As it stands, the pink pirate captain can pretty easily wrap up this fight. Just kidding, you already know it's never this easy for us, because Muck is deploying the tried and true evasion strat, causing Misfortune to miss not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Confusions in a row. The only silver lining to this annoying exchange is that Muck never actually clicks a damaging move, instead opting for more minimizes or acid armors, so when Misfortune finally does connect with an attack, it's a one-shot, baby! The rest of the fight is much more straightforward. Another Coughing gets obliterated, followed by a barrage of Confusions that eventually topple Wheezing as well, earning us our 5th gym badge. Yet again, this fight was a theoretically simple endeavor turned unfavorable due to poor luck. But seeing as Misfortune actually managed to clean up the mess she made, unlike some others, I have hope for once that we'll be able to clear a split in this challenge without wanting to rip my hair out. Here are the Pokemon available to us in the Saffron split, on Route 5 to the north, on Route 6 to the south, on Route 7 to the west, and on Route 8 to the east. Oh, and you can throw in Silphco too, since it's accessible within Saffron. Now, tell me, have you noticed a certain type of Pokemon missing? Yeah, for the first time in this challenge, we will be without a clear-cut, super effective answer for the next gym leader, unless you count Gyarados' Bite or Persian's Feint Attack, which is like saying you have 2 Phantoms in your garage when you actually just have 2 Segways. But despite our lack of Ghost and Dark types, this gym is not as tough as it looks at first glance. Sabrina's heavy-hitting Psychics are all specially inclined and physically frail, meaning any Pokemon with passable special bulk, or that is faster than Alakazam, will be able to contribute. Case in point, Crazy the Lapras, obtained as a gift from Silphco. Lapras alone has enough bulk and damage to weather Sabrina's entire team, but for good measure, I also brought along Spooky the Persian, who can outspeed Alakazam in a pinch. For the last 2 slots on my team, I ended up choosing a scary Gyarados, because she's a Gyarados, and a hilarious Slowbro, because, hey, wait a minute. It's just you 2 again! This time around, our Gyarados will actually be seeing some action as Scary, wins the speed tie and knocks out Kadabra with a single strength. Yeah, strength. Gyarados' physical moveset at this point in the game is atrocious. But it's enough to one-hit KO Mr. Mime as well and chunk Venomoth, who's shaking too hard after that brutal hit to aim its supersonic properly. Scary then puts the moth in a bag, letting Sabrina's Ace take the field. Alakazam's Psychic does just under half, while Gyarados' attack misses out on the kill. Despite Sabrina popping a Hyper Potion, it doesn't matter one bit, as Scary can keep spamming Strength until her foe eventually falls, earning us the 6th gym badge. That was easy. Literally anyone with a bit of bulk who can hit hard will stand a chance against Sabrina. But in terms of the easiest fight of the challenge, well, you haven't seen nothing yet. A wise man once said, the way I see it, Kyogre is surrounded. What's under the ocean? That's right, more Earth. Now replace Kyogre with Blaine, the ocean with Cinnabar Island, and the earth with water. Or should I say, the drink? That's right, Gyarados, Kingler, Seadra, Tentacruel, and either Golduck or Slowbro are available for the choosing this split. By the way, Slowbro was the second reason why I chose to do this challenge on LeafGreen version, because playing Fire Red would mean having to use Golduck, and I do not want to try that. I have better things to do with my time. Oh yeah, Cinnabar Mansion also exists, but come on, are you really gonna give those goons the time of day where you can assemble the best of Team Drink for the upcoming gym battle? Look, we got Rainy the Kingler, Fisher the Tentacruel, and You two must think I'm stupid, huh? Well, I had to gamble on a 4% encounter rate just to get Slowbro, so yeah, maybe I am. Especially since I didn't even end up using Misfortune, Hilarious, Brook the Slowbro at all. Instead, it was Fisher the Tentacruel who made mincemeat of Blaine's fire types. He drowned Growlithe, Ponyta, and Rapidash in a single hit each, then toyed with Arcanine for several turns before finally delivering the Mercy kill. Not just to Blaine's last Mon, but to the washed up old man as well. As a result of committing homicide, Fisher the Tentacruel will no longer be appearing in this challenge. Welcome to Kanto's final gym. We've got our work cut out for us. Viridian City being located between two early game routes severely hampers our pool of eligible encounters. Just from a glance, I'm having doubts that this challenge is even possible to finish given these lackluster Pokemon. Wait, I see something. Enhance. Is that a body of water? This little pond single-handedly saved the challenge by offering us the tools needed to break through Giovanni's ground types, specifically a shovel, a spade, a trowel, a mattock, and an auger. Yes, that is now 4 gyms in a row that have featured Slowbro and Gyarados on the team. What can I say? They're pretty reliable, even if they keep insisting that they definitely aren't the same duo we saw previously. The pink one kicks off our final gym battle on the right foot, surfing on Rhydon number 1's carcass before tanking Dugtrio's slash and picking up her second kill. Not wanting her partner in crime to hog the spotlight, Man who gives a anymore, leaps into battle on an ineffective Nidoqueen Earthquake. Spade then unleashes a surf of her own, but since this is Gen 3, it's coming off her weaker special attack stat. That's why Spade fails to KO, and unfortunately, she gets paralyzed by Nidoqueen's retaliatory body slam, necessitating a switch. Just kidding, we're gonna keep digging our hole with Spade. Giovanni pops a Hyper Potion, while Spade once again fails to kill with Surf. Repeat the previous turn now, but with Spade being paralyzed instead of dealing damage. Nidoqueen has nothing to do, however, except throw out more weak body slams, so Spade can take her sweet time handling business. After much effort, she finally downs the Queen of the Nidos. I want to give every member of Team Drink a chance to shine in this fight though, so I bring in Mattock the Sea King on a missed takedown. He rewards my kindness by landing a critical hit that probably wasn't necessary to drown Rhyhorn number 2. That just leaves Giovanni's Nidoking, whose Earthquake bounces off the blubber of Trial the Poliwrath. Our bipedal tadpole then raises the sea to snag victory. And with that, we have beaten every gym in Kanto using only Pokemon found near each respective gym's city. But no Pokemon challenge is complete until you become champion, which means we have one final split remaining. Welcome to the Indigo Plateau, the final test that awaits us in this challenge. Naturally, you might think that our local encounters will be limited to the nearby Victory Road. If you think that, you are wrong. Remember, the rules state that eligible locations are connected directly to the next gym, or in this case, the next gym being the Pokemon League building. And where do you end up when you exit the League building? Not in Victory Road, but on Route 23. So our encounter list doesn't actually look like this. It looks like this, which is honestly way better for us because it means we can call upon some familiar faces from everyone's favorite collective. The first member of our Elite Four squad will be Misfortune the Slowbro. Her mix of bulk and power has carried us through past gyms and will once again aid us in this final gauntlet. Unfortunately, this iteration of the Slow Queen only has a special attack IV of 4, so she won't be hitting as hard as before. Syrup the Gyarados is also returning with an attack IV of 2 and a speed IV of 0. At least she has actual tools of destruction now in the form of Earthquake and Dragon Dance. She'll always have a place on this team regardless of her patchwork moveset and subpar genetics though, because at the end of the day, she's a Gyarados. Trowel the Poliwrath and Mattock the Sea King round out the Team Drink members contributing to this final gauntlet. They aren't nearly as accomplished as the aforementioned members, but Trowel's water absorbability will definitely come in handy. As for Mattock, he has Horn Drill, making him the ultimate gambling mon. Augur the Primate is also back as our obligatory fighting type. He didn't do a thing versus Giovanni, but he could potentially provide some help against Bruno's Onyxes. And for the final roster spot, I had the choice between Sandslash or Fearow, and I ultimately went with the bird because of its better speed and the fact that Fearow has somewhat more of a passable learn set. This Fearow shall be dubbed Poutine because I just had one for dinner. And that's the team of 6 that will be trying to topple the Elite Four of Kanto. It's poetic that many of the familiar faces we've encountered throughout this run will be returning for one last ride. I've certainly gotten my chance to familiarize myself with this group. After all, this is my 5th attempt at the Pokemon League. Trowel the Poliwrath not only resists ice and is immune to water moves, but she's also part fighting type, giving her a superb matchup against Kanto's first Elite Four member, the ice type specialist, Lorelei. In theory. Fortunately, all Dugong does is use Safeguard, meaning Trowel can eventually snag the KO after a Lorelei full restore and a few more brick breaks. Next up is Slowbro, whom Trowel can barely leave a scratch on before it sets up an amnesia. Okay, time to switch. I bring in Syrup for some hard-hitting physical damage, but Slowbro's yawn ensures that won't be for long. All Syrup can muster is a strong Earthquake to bring Slowbro to half before getting hit by a soft Ice Beam and falling asleep. That was always the plan though, because Slowbro is now low enough for Poutine to tag in and clean up. He admirably tanks a super effective Ice Beam from Slowbro on the way in, then retaliates with a Drill Peck on the following turn. That also happens to be a critical hit. Slowbro goes down and Poutine fires off one last Drill Peck before graciously bowing out as well. That gives Trowel a way back into the battle against Jinx, who doesn't have a psychic type attack to hit our Tadpole super effectively, but it does unfortunately have Lovely Kiss to put Trowel to sleep. She remains inactive for the next 2 turns, taking small chunks of damage from Ice Punches number 1 and 2. She then takes a 3rd Ice Punch and a 4th, but finally awakens to clobber Jinx once and for all. On to Cloyster, who opens up its assault by not attacking and instead protecting against Trowel's Hypnosis. Trowel tries a second Hypnosis, but it hits the ceiling lights instead, letting Cloyster click Hail for free. At this point, I decide to just throw out the Hypnosis game plan and just start swinging, which proves to be the correct play as Cloyster eventually falls after several tedious turns of will it or won't it click Protect. But Trowel is dangerously low upon the arrival of Lorelei's final Pokemon, then drops even lower as Lapras's Body Slam takes her down to just 5 HP remaining. Trowel responds with yet another Brick Break, but some of the damage she inflicted is healed off by Lapras's held Citrus Berry. Sorry Trowel, you're gonna have to take one from the team here, but don't be too sad. This isn't a Nuzlocke after all, so it's not like you're gonna stay dead forever. Plus, you can hold your head up high knowing you are technically the MVP of the Lorelei fight, even if you did eventually fall to Lapras's oh, what are you doing? Bruno is the easiest member of the Elite Four, by a country mile. Misfortune was engineered in a lab to counter Bruno's entire team, as she demonstrates by parking her pink tush onto the battlefield and either scoring a 1-hit KO with Surf or scoring a 1-hit KO with Psychic. Not much else to add here, except that I'm very grateful to be playing Leaf Green instead of Fire Red. In contrast to our last battle, Agatha the ghost-loving granny is a decidedly more dicey affair. Our only super effective attack is Misfortune's Psychic, which hits the poison type half of Agatha's team, but also means our pink pirate will have to weather some strong hits in the process. Or in the case of Gengar number 1, none at all, because it just tries spamming double team, and yeah, we've already seen that before. Misfortune, kill it. Golbat is up next and stakes his claim in this battle by using Confuse Ray on Misfortune, who has own tempo. God, I love how dumb the enemy AI can be in older games. The rest of the Agatha fight goes way easier than I initially anticipated. Arbok just uses Screech before getting obliterated by Psychic, and Gengar number 2 whiffs Hypnosis before also suffering the same fate. The last remaining Pokemon is a Haunter that tries to inflict a curse, but it hits Poutine instead on the switch in, and he's fast enough to pick off his weakened prey the following turn to earn us our 3rd win of the gauntlet. Sorry Grandma, it's time for you to retire. And now we come to the most difficult Elite Four member of the bunch, Lance. You might be wondering how we're gonna begin the battle against such an imposing opponent. That's right, we're gonna gamble. Gyarados opens the battle with Dragon Rage, while Matic the Sea King begins praying for a Hornbill to make contact. Attempt number 1 is no good, while attempt number 2 is a direct hit. Goodbye Gyarados, hello Dragonair number 1. Matic attempts to go for a super effective Blizzard, but whiffs badly, then gets paralyzed by Thunder Wave. I'm a stubborn fuck though, so I keep Matic out there to keep trying. Dragonair's Safeguard goes unpunished as Matic misses a second Blizzard, then Dragonair begins its Outrage, which will surely kill Matic if he can't get his act together soon. Fortunately, our fishy friend finally lands a Blizzard to take Dragonair low, and after surviving a second hit of Outrage, Matic can end the terror known as Dragonair for good. good. For about 5 seconds because Dragonair number 2 swoops in and flushes our fish down the toilet. Dragonair number 2's outrage continues as Misfortune jumps into battle, but she shrugs it off before blasting the Serpentine beast with a single ice beam. Safeguard also ends after this turn. That's why when Dragonite comes out, it wastes a turn setting Safeguard back up, allowing Misfortune to fire off a brutally powerful ice beam for free that unfortunately can't KO. But it brings Dragonite low enough for its held Citrus Berry to activate and take it out of potion range. Dragonite launches a vicious outrage that takes Misfortune below half, but it's not enough to dissuade the Queen of the Seas from putting her foe on ice. That just leaves Lance's Aerodactyl, which does finish off Misfortune with a Hyper Beam, but puts itself in position for Team Drink's other mainstay to mop up the mess. Syrup eventually downs the Prehistoric Pest with a couple of serves, claiming victory over the last Elite Four member. But not the last member of the Pokemon League, not yet. It's time to see if it's really possible to beat LeafGreen using only Pokemon found near each gym by using Pokemon found near the Pokemon League to usurp its champion. A whole lot of dominoes need to fall our way for this fight to be winnable. That starts with Madoc the Sea King, who's tasked with dispatching our rival's lead Pidgey. He fortunately connects with his first Blizzard of the battle, and after being brought below half, manages to secure the KO on the following turn. That invites in Venusaur, because I chose Squirtle as my starter for a completely well thought out reason. The big plan is content to just click Growth though, letting Poutine come in for free, then land a strong Drill Peck that goes unpunished because Venusaur is still too busy getting bigger.
I'm so big for you, chat.
Okay, right.
I'm
here.
so big for you.
Okay.
Venusaur's held Citrus Berry eventually is consumed, but that just buys it some more time to rub its belly and not click any attacking moves. It uses Synthesis, it sets up the Sun, then it gets dropped by Drill Peck. Next up is Rhydon, and in turn Trowel the Poliwrath, whose speed is lowered by the Rock Tomb she tanks on the way in. Earthquake takes our bipedal Tadpole below half, but despite the sun shining down on the battlefield, a quad-effective Surf is still strong enough to take out Rhydon in a single blow. And now the Hydrogen Bomb has arrived in its final form. Misfortune switches into Alakazam's Psychic, losing about a quarter of her health just as the strong sunlight fades. Alakazam sets up a Reflect, then drops below half thanks to Misfortune's strong Surf. Amazingly, the enemy AI can recognize that Alakazam is in a bind, because our rival chooses to switch to Gyarados on a soft MF Surf. Since this is a fish measuring contest now, I toss out my own Gyarados on a soft bite, but I only did this to stall Reflect turns and get off an Intimidate to lower the opposing Gyara's attack, because on the next turn I switch again, this time to Augur the Primeape, who tanks the incoming Thrash the best he can. Augur rewards my patience by whiffing Rock Slide, then taking Thrash number 2 on the chin. Fortunately, that's all Gyarados has got, as it gets confused soon after, and Reflect finally wears off, opening the door for Augur to rip off a super effective Rock Slide that does about half. Of course, Gyarados can ignore its confusion for a turn to finish off Augur, cementing our Primate's entire contribution to this run as a single sentence summary. Welcome back, I guess, Syrup. A second Intimidate further lowers the opposing Gyarados' attack, and even though she tanks a Dragon Rage, Syrup finally has the opportunity to do what her blood has been aching to do this entire run: dance. Dragon Dance number 1 goes unpunished, and Dragon Dance number 2 is responded to with a diminished Thrash from our opponent. A third Dragon Dance secures Syrup the firepower she needs to handle the rest of the champ's team, and again, the opposing Gyarados can't do anything about it except flail about. It's completely toast once Syrup decides to actually start swinging, or I guess in this case it's deep fried tempura. Whatever, the DD boost allows Syrup to smack Alakazam's dome with Earthquake, leaving our rival's Arcanine as the last Pokemon standing. Arcanine moves first due to extreme speed, dealing a considerable amount, but not enough to stop Syrup from landing the killing blow with just 10 HP remaining. And with that, we have officially beaten every gym in Kanto and the Pokemon League using only Pokemon found near each objective. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if I should try and attempt the local encounters challenge in another Pokemon game. And feel free to give this challenge a shot yourself, if only so that other people can suffer with a rock fight as well. Oh, and special thanks to the channel members for their continued support. You can also support this channel for free by following me now. Follow my posts. Like my twitter.com. Anyways, that's all I got for now. I'm gonna go grab a drink and cool off before working on the next video. No, we are not doing this. Do not Pavlovian condition another joke into the ground. I already have to deal with the money. No more. Ugh. I'll see you all in Johto. Goodbye.